Hello guys and girls, quick mixing tutorial video to show you how I mix the riffs from my friends video. All the riffs have the same tones actually. Which I thought was fun to make them a little bit more cohesive. It kind of worked. Let me show you what those tones are. Master bus processing, that will be explained at the end. This drum sound, you might have recognized it. It's the drum sound I made for the Wage War Alive cover. So it consists of... Alright, cheers. The Get Good Drums P4 cymbals and the Modern and Massive shells. Very nice. And the kick and snare are reinforced with one-shots from the Andrew Wade drum shots. So the sledge kick and the sledge snare. If I play them both together, the Modern and Massive and the one shots, great power. So you can see a very detailed rundown of this drum sound on the Wage War Alive mixing tutorial, so that I don't have to go all over it again. It's exactly the same. Bass sound. Today we have our good friend Eurobass. Impact is here because it was copied from the Spirit Box cover where I had to go down to a low C that Eurobass doesn't have. It's here, but it's doing nothing. I will in fact delete it. Hello Eurobass, here we are. What? I can't play it. I was going to play the Seinfeld theme. So here's how this bass tone is happening. Bass tone being split into two duplicate tracks. One for the low end. One for the high end, distorted. There's also low end in there, but I'm going to explain you how I get just low end on a track. Firstly, you've got to filter it, of course, get rid of high end. Interesting, let me think about this here. I left some mid-range in before I hit it with a distortion. Yeah, very light tape distortion by Soft Tube. Into some Pultec 100 Hz boosting that makes it very nice and very fat, and only then the final filter, very specific 160 cutoff at the top so that only low end lives, then a cut at 35 to make sure the sub doesn't overdo it, and a dynamic band around the 75 area to make sure all the notes are kind of consistent. With that thick bass, we need a distorted track, which is going to be this for me. First thing was compressing this track a little bit before hitting the distortion of choice, so you can hear it very intensely going into Tone Hub. This is one of the Atrium Audio bass presets, their metal bass preset with the gain turned all the way up almost. Very nice. I wanted to accentuate high end going into it, so this EQ is before the amp and the compressor. Much clankier. We can control that later, but we want to drive the clank into the distortion. So here's a band to control the overly clanky sound. This EQ is here to filter the excess low end because we want to make room for the sub track to get us that big, beautiful, consistent bass. So you can hear mostly just getting rid of bass and the limiter to make sure that there's no pick attack too loud. Stop the MIDI wrong there. Very low, that low E. I then saturate them together and EQ them a bit together. Honestly, very little glue from this very light saturation on the Reaper stock saturation plugin, and just a little bit less mid-range on this sub filtering and low end boost. Very tiny. Let's check what this tone is. So there's tons of guitars going into it. You can see what they are in the video. The main tone provider is STL Tone Hub. This is the Andrew Wade pack, and there's many presets for the MC profile, and then there are some versions of it that are called the Single String Kings, and these are very gainy versions of those, meant for you to only play riffs on one string. And I used it for very melodic parts, and it sounds super gainy. So this is one gainy boy of a tone. Still evaluating, thank you. Filtering, so controlling 86 Hertz and down and 13K and up. This is just sub, and this is just fizz, and this is a little palm mute control measure. You can see in the palm mutes it's jumping to control this frequency region. Guitar compressor. Just turns the loudest parts a little bit down to make sure that we get the rest of the guitar track to come up, and that's the basis of the mix. Awesome. Then there's a little lo-fi for bits. This is the same tone, straight up, but on the equalizer, the filters are jacked. So high pass filter goes all the way up to 400, and the low pass filter goes all the way down to 2K. Easy enough. Robin's second half of the riff has this Architects thing. Here's how lazy I was. Exact same tone. The key is this 12-second 100% wet reverb. It It's gonna get you the sound you want on these immediately, at least the sound I want. And then very heavy filtering to control the excess rumble from the reverb. Night and day stuff, very important. This crazy lead in the second part of Adrian's riff. Very fun. So I recorded this minor second into the same amplifier, same sound. Then there's these two little pedals. These are the Waves emulations of pedals. You can find maybe something that works similarly. This chorus gives it that width. And the vibrolo gives it the... You're looking for a chorus and a tremolo effect. And then you filter. I just copy the filters over from the wet lead. I love it. I need to try using it on some of my stuff as well. The synth start is straight out of Adrian's demo. I did nothing. Here's an incredible resource. So these violins are 100% unaffected, straight out of LABS Labs by Spitfire Audio, and this is free. Jump on this shit immediately. Amazing free software instrument. Cleans, same thing. These cleans, so that was on Kian's riff. These cleans were from these are John Brown's cleans from the competition. They were basically ready to go. I just limited them a bit because the peaks are very spiky. If you hear it without it, you can hear them poking through. And I don't want it. I want them to be a clean layer under it. Very, very nice. Oh yeah, I skipped the piano on Dan's riff. So this is Addictive Keys Studio Grand. I changed the balance of the microphones to give the ambient microphone a little bit more emphasis instead of the direct key sound. Into a limiter for dynamic consistency, because this isn't meant to be a solo piano part. It's meant to be a clean slab of piano that you can put under guitars and still be heard. Reverb, 50%, 6 seconds, pretty big. EQ to control that extra low end, and it was good to go. And then my usual track of explosions. This is the curve I put on the explosions today. A big old scoop. Kind of honky without it. Very explosive with it. Nice. Into my usual mastering chain. So on my mastering chain, I'm looking for the plugins that are gonna get it the mix 2% better, each one of them. So this is Golfos, which is a plugin that tries to interpret whatever you're feeding into it and make it more pleasant to the human ear with magic and mathematics of hearing. And the things I like that it does is it's going to balance your bass. So if your kick is not hitting, it's going to let the bass fill that kick region. And when the kick hits, it's going to duck it. You can see that interplay there. It's going to balance your guitar mid-range a little bit with the magic. The mid-range is the part I least understand, and it's always going to be boosting a little bit of very, very shiny top end into your mix. Not really a little bit if you go to very high values. Compression on the mix, I am looking to hit the kick and snare so that the kick and snare, when they're hit, they're gonna duck the rest of the music with them, as well as give it the saturation options that there is on these transformers. Steel is sub low end, iron is low end mid range, and nickel is high end. When I use Gullfoss, I almost never use nickel because that's what I'm trying to get out of nickel. I almost always use iron because I'm trying to get this region to be a bit fatter. Everything is a bit fluffier, louder, and the kick and snare have more groove. And today I'm hitting the multi-band compressor a bit harder as well. You can also hear it impart its curve into the mix, which the material I usually feed it, my mixes tend to be guitar heavy, it thinks. So on the mid-range band, you'll hear it duck a lot more. This gives my mixes a little bit of a scoop. That is pretty nice. Just a trick. You guys have seen me use this a lot if you've been around. And then limiting. So my current limiting paradigm is to chop off the kick and snare as much as Ozone will let me. So you can see anywhere up to ±4 on a snare hit. And then with Pro L2 by FabFilter, I will be trying to get the rest of the gain, so the gain that eats down into the guitars, that's not just chopping drums. I try to get it with this transparent algorithm in here. I used to do it all in Ozone, which meant I would be taking this a lot down and digging into the mix, but I like the way, can I not Control Z that? I can. I like the way L2 digs into the mix a bit better. That's the mix for the Friends Riffs video, guys. I hope you liked it. I hope you checked out the awesome guitar players I have showcased. They're all my friends and they're all shaping the future of metal guitar. Thank you for supporting, and I'll see you in the next one.